In this exercise, we're told that Edgar purchased a small 20-inch TV for his garage, and that the size of a TV is measured on the diagonal of the screen. So I went ahead and drew that picture here, just a little rectangle with a diagonal of 20 inches. We're told that the screen also has an area of 192 square inches, and we're asked what are the length and width of the screen, of the TV screen. So let's let x equal the length and y equal the width, or the height. In this case, we're looking at length and width because that's what we're asked for. We'll let x equal the length and y equal the width. What do we know about this? Well, we know this is a right triangle. The diagonal divides a rectangle into two right triangles, so that means we can use the Pythagorean theorem to state x squared plus y squared equals 20 squared, which is 400. And then we're also told that the screen has an area of 192 square inches, so we know that x times y equals 192. So there's our system of equations to solve. X squared plus y squared equals 400. And xy equals 192. So we'll go ahead and use substitution, since x and y are to the first degree in one equation and to the second degree in the other equation. So if we solve for y in terms of x with our second equation, we divide both sides by x, we get y equals 192 divided by x. So we'll substitute that into our first equation. X squared plus y squared equals 400. So x squared plus 192 divided by x in place of y squared equals 400. Now you might want to get out your calculator for this one. You can do it using long division, or if you take enough time and can visualize, possibly even in your head. But it's much easier to just take 192 and square it using your calculator. That's going to give you x squared plus 36,864 over x squared equals 400. So now we'll multiply everything by x squared in order to get rid of that denominator of x squared. So x to the fourth plus 36,864 equals 400 x squared. Now subtracting 400x squared from both sides, that gives us x to the fourth minus 400x squared minus 400x squared plus 36,864 equals 0. Now, believe it or not, this will factor. 36,864 is negative 256 and negative 144. Those add to negative 400 and multiply to 36,864. So this will factor to x squared minus 256 times x squared minus 144 equals 0. Now, if you didn't figure out that this would factor, you could always use, using the quadratic form. In other words, substitute like z squared in place of, or z in place of x squared, in order to have or if you had x to the fourth equals z squared. So z squared equals x to the fourth. That means that x squared would equal z. And then you could solve it like you would a normal quadratic by substituting into the quadratic formula. But in this case, we are assuming that we recognize that it factored into x squared minus 256 and x squared minus 144. That means x squared minus 256 equals 0, or x squared minus 144 equals 0. That's going to give us x squared equals 256, or x squared equals 144. We're dealing with lengths here, so we know that it's not going to be a matter of having a negative value. So that means x equals the square root of 256 is 16, or x equals square root of 144 is 12. Now, what that also means essentially is that y is 12. If we're looking at y as being the width, it just happens to be that we solve for either one just by solving for x because of the way that we set up the problem. So that means that the length of the television screen is 16 inches, and the width is 12 inches.